In this video, we're going to look at what's new in Jarvis's boss mode and how it can help you write more content. Stay tuned. What's up everyone? I'm Joey from New Territory Media. So GPT-3 has been all the rage over the past year, with lots of companies popping up that allow you to use this language prediction model to create original content. Most of the outputs are short form content, so think blog post titles, YouTube video descriptions, Facebook and Google ad headlines. I've tried out a variety of these tools, but one company I really liked is conversion.ai, now rebranded to Jarvis. I found their outputs to be really good and far more usable than other services, but what really set them apart is their long form editor, which is great for writing blog posts and video scripts. So you start typing and then let Jarvis, which is what they call their AI assistant, take a jab at writing out the next few paragraphs. While the long form editor is handy, it was limited in options in directing what kind of output you'd get. Do you want a list? Do you want a paragraph explaining a specific point? You couldn't control that. Jarvis would just look at the previous 600 characters and take its best guess at where to continue writing the article. But all of that has changed with the new Jarvis command in boss mode. So with boss mode, you can write out some simple commands like write some blog post titles for the topic of copywriting, and then it'll spit out a bunch of titles right inside the long form editor. You don't have to jump around and type in different templates and try to pull the content back in. Then you can follow it up with write a content brief for the above blog post title and then let Jarvis do its thing. But enough about hypotheticals, let's jump into it and take it for a spin. All right, so just in a blank document, let's try to give Jarvis boss mode a spin. Let's say we want to write an article about how to do a webinar. So if we say, write some blog post titles about how to create a webinar. All right, the first one could work. Let's run that again. I like this one. See, this kind of gives you different angles that you didn't think about before. So how to create a webinar, how to create videos. No, I want to create a webinar. Let's try that one again. All right, I kind of stole my tweak here, but yeah, okay, we got some better outputs here. So let's go with this one. Another command we can try, write a content brief about creating webinars for marketing a business. Let's see what it gives us. All right, so that's kind of more of like an intro paragraph. Speaking of intro paragraphs, we can write an intro paragraph. So just have it look at the title above and write an intro paragraph, and look at that. That one, this is super impressive. Look, we got an intro paragraph, and then we already have it spitting out an outline too, which we didn't even ask it to do. This is a pretty solid outline. And it kind of ended midpoint here. And then since we're in the long form editor, we could always just run Jarvis, the regular AI tool that just continues looking, it looks at what you wrote here and then continues writing. Yeah, so we got that going. And then if we come down here, we could also, assuming, this is the first time I've ever seen it write an outline in the intro paragraph command, but like, let's just say we say, write an outline about creating a webinar. What is a webinar? How does it work? Tips for producing a quality webinar. So this is, yeah, super accurate. I haven't thoroughly read this, but from what I see right now, it is pretty clear. And then we can do some other cool things like we want to start fleshing out these sections, paragraph about the above. Okay, so we don't need that last sentence, but let's try this one because this one, I want to see what it comes up with. But you can see, you can kind of come up with these templates yourself as far as trying to automate or systematize creating articles or other types of content. You know, if you say write titles, and then next step would be like write intro paragraph, write outline. So you can kind of have a whole, like a sequence of commands, or, you know, if you kind of figure out some more clear commands, and I know there's some lists already going around, and I look forward to kind of experimenting with those. But if you kind of come up with like a whole paragraph that write a blog post article that covers this and has this angle and is in this tone of voice, you can kind of come up with some clever recipes that will probably create more specific content that is usable, that won't require as much editing. Like this seems like it's kind of a mess. Let's try it again. Yeah, this looks much better. Yeah, I need some cleaning up to do. And that's the thing with AI. It's not a magic bullet that it's going to write everything for you. It's going to give you some direction, and you're going to have to bounce around with it and shape it, give it some more direction, and then let it run off and keep going back and forth. And now some other cool things that you can do is you can have it look at the context of everything above here. So previously, Jarvis would look at the past 600 characters, but now it can look at the previous 2,000 to 3,000 characters. And you can do things like write an ADA for the content above, and that's a marketing framework for attention, interest, desire, and action. So let's say we wanted to turn our blog post into a Facebook ad, and we wanted some structure. And so interesting that it started writing and then it stopped writing. So we got the attention part, we got the interest part, and then I hit Command J to continue with it, but it seemed to stop. So it didn't continue with the desire and action part. But super cool that I can look at the entire top part. And I mean, I haven't gone through this, so this thing's already a mess. But it still was able to get the gist of grabbing attention on a webinar and getting the interest on the webinar. So this is just a very introductory way of messing around with this. I mean, I've just gotten this and messed around with it, but so far, extremely cool, extremely powerful. I can see this saving a lot of time. And, I can definitely see this helping in both creating more blog posts and more YouTube videos. And I look forward to exploring that more. But now let's jump back to the studio. All right, a few final updates that were also released in boss mode. I mentioned this earlier, but previously Jarvis would look at the previous 600 characters and make its best guess on where to take the article. Now it looks at the previous 2,000 characters, so it's able to get a much broader sense of the article and how it's structured so it can write better content. And one other big update, the compose button is unlocked. So before, when you let Jarvis loose and start writing content, the compose button on the bottom would gray out, so you'd have to jump in and write a few sentences to give Jarvis some direction. Now you don't have to do that. If you like what Jarvis typed and want to continue, you can hit the compose button and it'll start adding more content right away. But you'll probably get the best results if you clean up the output and give it some direction with a transitional line or two, but you don't have to do that anymore. So it doesn't work perfectly 100% of the time, but messing around with this myself for about 5 minutes, I've already been blown away writing a half-decent short blog post about video marketing in just a few minutes. Now, as you saw, it doesn't work perfectly 100% of the time. And that's the thing with Jarvis and GPT-3 in general. It's not going to magically write an article for you. It's more of a writing assistant or an exoskeleton suit for your writing brain. So if you think about Aliens, if you remember Aliens, where Ridley had the final battle with the alien by operating the yellow mechanical suit, the suit gave Ridley enough strength to defeat the alien, but it was still Ridley who was doing the fighting. Same thing with GPT-3. It's a sounding board for coming up with ideas and producing first drafts, but you still need to have a solid outline of the direction you want the article to go in and good editing skills to clean it up and jump in when needed. Plus, you also need to have the subject matter expertise to fact check the content that's generated. It makes original content, but it might not necessarily be factual content. So this is a super exciting update, and I'm looking forward to experimenting with it to figure out workflows for creating videos and blog posts faster and better. I'll be posting the findings here. So be sure to subscribe to watch future videos like this. Thanks for watching this video. I will see you in the next episode.